Welcome to 10 p.m. with Galinsky. Very excited to do another show. Take care of a little business before I bring our guests in. Virginia Peters is here. Susan Berlin, Andrew T. Galinsky, Jack Fuller, and Ed Shin are here. Elizabeth Harder's here. Turko Ono is in the house. We're all loaded up and ready to go. I love it. Want to shout out a couple of supporters. Nuchas.com. Nuchas. These empanadas are so freaking delicious. If you can't order them for yourself, you should order them for a friend. They send to almost anywhere around the country, and you won't be dissatisfied at all. You'll be more than satisfied. I also want to point out VIP Ignite Live. They are supporting the show, as is actortrade.com. I know there's a lot of actors watching the show tonight because of the great guest I have. So I want to let you know that you should check out actortrade.com. It's a great service. It's free for people who are running lines with each other and have to do self-tapes. It's a great community. I've been getting incredibly great feedback about the Black Lives Matter listening tour that white people are doing now. And I really appreciate that. Not all lenses are meant to be looked through with color in mind, but sometimes they are. And so when they are, it's time to listen and see what we can do to make the world a better place. It's been great to see that the past 2, 3, 4 days have been very nonviolent. People are getting it together and rocking it out. Fred Carbone is with us. Charlie Crabtree, Callie Greenberg, Amy Alt, Darren Cook. Good to see you. Alex Colasso Baker. All right. Emmett Goodman. Yay. Luigi O. Christina Rai. Cordelia Pearson. I'm going to bring my guests in. We're not going to hold out any longer. They're two very good friends of mine. We've been friends for a long time. Actually, I was blessed to meet Katha and Preston when I first moved into New York City. So I, with no further ado, bring you Preston and Katha Cato of the Queens World Film Festival.
Hey.
Hey.
How are ya?
Hi, world. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
Good to see you. Everyone's good. We got a really great audience in here. A few names for you. Susan Berlin, Ed Shin, Emmett Goodman.
Susan, hey, Ed.
Luigi O.
That would be Luigi.
Ah, it's spelled Luidji. I love that. Luigi O. Let's get it started. We always start, hey, Jane Spoken Word is in the house. We always get it started with something positive here. So let's talk about the positive move you've made. This is the 10th annual Queens World Film Festival, and it's scheduled in June. And due to this pandemic, well, now it was scheduled for March, right?
Yeah, it went,
right?
and it went on in March.
We did it.
And so what's going on? But you've pivoted into the virtual world, and I think that's such an accomplishment. That's the website. So tell us how you made the pivot.
Well, it happened in about 2 or 3 days. We were set to open on March 19th. And on the 13th, we thought that we would be at half capacity at Kaufman Astoria Studios in Momi. Monday, the 16th, we found out that we were going to be closed, and we opened on the 19th, 3 days later, 7 o'clock, on time, online, 191 films.
Ah, beautiful. So what's going on now in June? Because there's still a great opportunity here for us to see stuff.
Okay. Well, what we have now is, it's called Queens World Wednesday night at
9 o'clock.
And what we're doing is we're doing a curated block of films every Wednesday night, selected from over our, the 10 years of our festival, that fit together in any given theme, and we're shouting out community organizations that need some exposure. And
Great.
So that's what it's all about. So we try to, it's please call these people, go to their website, whatever they need, if it's money or bodies. We're not looking for any donations for us. That's not what it's about. Filmmakers get good exposure. The community gets to see some really good stuff. And more importantly, the community learns about these organizations that need some help.
How many films, again, did you say in March?
191.
Is that a normal number for you guys when you...
Well, it's been normal for the last couple of years.
Yeah, we actually had 220 films, but 11 of them were by kids. And then when we were looking for permission from everybody around the world to go online, there were a couple of people we couldn't find from Iran and from India. There were a couple people who were just didn't want to do it, and so we ended up with 191 online.
And so the next question is, how many submissions do you get?
We had almost 800.
And how many of you guys are there watching those films?
Well, there's about 5 people that have their hand in the curation, but
He's the man?
it is, yeah. It's his curation. Crystal McIntosh, who is a great programmer and has been with us for about 3 or 4 years, they're thinking alike. They curate thematically, really edgy, weird, bizarre, wonderful, loving, brave, sweet.
Like to push the envelope.
Gotcha. I also want to point out to my audience, I'm monitoring 3 different chat rooms right now. So when you see me looking left and right, it's not that I'm daydreaming. I'm making sure that I can say, Brianna Michelle has just entered. Allison Overseth is here. James Longstreth is here.
Oh my God, John! All right, that's awesome,
That's
Allison.
awesome. Way to go, James.
Julia Pearson is here. She says the Queens World Film Festival. Yeah.
She's a new board member. What a great addition! Thank you.
Virginia Peters, Burning Hammer Productions says, love Queens World Film Festival. Was a true honor to be a part of the event.
Oh,
Wow.
Well, we've got a loving crowd here. Colin Peterson, John Harris, Becky Savell, Leo Fernikes, Anthony Randall, who's going to be on the show Wednesday, Gabby Hagg. All right. So what's the biggest mistake that a person can make when they're submitting to a film festival?
bloopers.
Did you plan that? That's great. Bloopers. So what does that mean? They send you bloopers?
Well, no, it's whatever movie they make, they somehow are inclined to want to put bloopers during the credits. And so they make whatever it might be. I mean, they make this film, and then to entertain themselves, their parents, contributors, and everything else, because they all like to see their face on the screen.
Sure.
But what happens is that whatever you've just left the audience with, that's the feeling that you want them to have. Then you break that entire piece that you've been working on with bloopers. Now, if you're making an American Pie, that's perfectly legitimate. But if it's a horror film, or if it's anything that's to be taken even minimally serious, don't send bloopers.
Yeah, don't break that world that you've created. You know, he screens all the work, and I handle the administrative work. Let me tell the world, every film is a labor of love. They are impossible to make. Every film costs more than you thought it was going to. We know that. We absolutely know that. We wish we could make it different for everybody, but don't lead with that information. They're incredibly hard to make for everybody.
Speaking of hard to make, Callie Greenberg has a question. What kind of work goes into organizing a films festival? Now, you could probably spend 3 hours telling us that, but what are some of the high level points of organizing a film festival? What are maybe 3 of the top most important things you're thinking about?
For me, the mission statement can be taken down to 2 words: the films. So whatever I have to do to make sure that the films that he has selected, he has curated, that are now on drives, that have now been labeled, that now have a Facebook page and have a flyer and a host and a this and that when we hit play, it plays. And so sometimes I have to be pushy, and sometimes I have to be demanding, and sometimes I have to be rude, and sometimes I don't go away. But if it was your film, you would want me to do the same.
Care about it, yeah.
Yeah, and we do. On the other end, the technical side, after we make the choices, we want it to look as absolutely the best it can look. You know, and I want to thank, Sam Berlin, who's our lead projectionist and tech guy. I mean, he's a huge help in making that happen. And so we always rent professional equipment where it's needed, make sure the specs are hit, test everything, and let it rip.
It's in the details, and we prepare to go in to correct any mistake before the public sees it. That's our deal.
Speaking of professional, you guys, I'll throw a photo up here. You are screening out of the Museum of the Moving Image in Astoria, a famed, hallowed place. How did you manage to do that? I mean, that's a real coup. That's incredible. The setting is beautiful in there, and the history and the legacy.
Good.
Well, the first couple times we asked, they said no. And then I think that we kind of established in the indie community in New York that it's a good team here. We do what we say we're going to do. You know, we put on a pretty good event. People like to come around. We're fairly entertaining.
Yeah, well, the museum has been fairly cautious about bringing in other festivals, and so we sort of broke ground with that. And now there's a lot of other festivals that also screen at the museum. So you know, we pioneered that a little bit.
Yeah.
They let us in the first year for 4 hours.
And now you got the place for 18 weeks a month.
There you go.
Pretty
That's
much.
right, yeah.
You know, it's a circus. And when we bring the circus in through the front door, you know, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. God, I love that picture.
It's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful setting. It's a great crowd. You guys do a wonderful job. I've been to the festival a couple times. I have to say, I actually had a short film in the festival. I have to admit.
You are an alumni.
Going into the chat for a second. Virginia Peter says, "Hi, Katha."
Hi, Virginia.
Anita Rosswant cackled a bit at the "how many films" question.
Yes. Well, Anita she's now working at another festival, and it's Hamptons. Yes, is that correct? No, Nantucket. I really do care, Anita, but I'm kind of an idiot. It is Nantucket.
Yeah.
She's working at Nantucket now, and she was with us for 4 years, and we went through fire together, and she knows what it takes.
She also emphasized focus on the films with about 12 exclamation points. So that's great.
Yeah.
Karen Julie Sherland is with us. Neil Levine's here. Joseph Perrette is with us. Deborah Ramney-Witt.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Deborah.
Einhorn has just shown up. Monica Moreno Villalobos is with us. Cynthia DeMoss, a good friend of mine, has a question. Are you selecting and screening more film or films shot in film or digitally?
Well, the ones shot on film have increased been steadily increasing every year.
So going to film has increased, you're saying?
Yes, film shot on film. Ultimately, they end up digital.
Yep.
But we do have more being shot on film each year than previous years. It increases 2 or 3.
Did we screen Bitter Sugar on a film? Didn't we go and pick up that canister, and I wept because it was that big, huge canister of film?
It was in his storage unit.
God, that was amazing.
By the way, I've customized my background for tonight for film.
It's
And also, everyone should know I wore my as close to pink shirt as possible because Katha has kicked cancer's butt at least 3 times. And I'm very proud and so happy that you're here and that I'm here with you. Audience, you should know that Katha and I met 1987 when she was just a wee little girl running an improvisational theater called a theater group called Foreplay in New York.
And this gentleman was our producer at the time. I remember meeting you, and you had long hair, and we were talking, and you said, like out of the blue, you said, yeah, and like sometimes I just like to do this with my hair, and you put it up a ponytail on top of your head.
Wish I had my hair. I only cut it a month ago. I'd do it for you now.
Yeah.
Cynthia DeMoss says, beautiful photo of you both and your audience about that last picture. John Trefiro's with us. Jamie Meadis is with us. Right on. Congrats for beating cancer, she says. Turco Ono says, how did you get started with the film festival? What was the motivation and the catalyst to start it? That's a great question because, Don, you're a filmmaker. Katha, I know you're a filmmaker as well. You're more in the theater as well. So what was the motivation and catalyst to start it?
Can you do it?
I can do it in a couple seconds. There was a previous film festival in Queens. It didn't have the same values we do. We had volunteered on it for the last couple of years that it existed. It hit a terrible demise. We said, all right, think what could happen if you had different values when you ran the festival. We ran for 1 year just to kind of karmically turn things around. It went super well. Second year, all right, let's keep doing it. Third year, I think we might have been on the edge of quitting, but then I got my first diagnosis, and, quite frankly, it motivated me to stay alive.
Cool.
Really, really hard. And now
Well, was it our first year too? We opened with the fire department who showed up.
Oh, that's right.
Because the theater, it was a very cold March night. And we told the theater owner, you got to turn the heat on because concrete gets cold. Well, he hadn't turned the heater boiler on for years probably, and he fired it up, and there's a giant black puff of smoke. None of us knew that. So Katha's inside in the theater, I'm up in the booth with the films, and the joke, don't yell fire in the theater. Yeah. They yelled fire in the theater.
Several times. So we started with the fire, and this year we had a snowstorm in 2017 that derailed opening night, and then the pandemic, and so here we are looking at year 11.
And was the name of the festival the same name when it didn't have the same values?
No.
So
it's a festival that remains nameless, the other one.
Gotcha. Question from the chat. What's your thoughts on making a book into a movie? From Colin Peterson.
Well, if you stop and think, just about all the really great films started off as a book, or at least a short story, perhaps an article in the New Yorker. But Wizard of Oz, that was a book. Lord of the Rings was a book. All of those were books at one time or another, and that's the story, and then you do the best job to adapt it to the screen.
A good story is a good story.
What do you think? Yeah, so what do you think? Is it because the story has been written so many times over and over, has gotten so good that it gives it it's the DNA of a good film, that it's been written that well? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, stories endure because they're strong. Crappy stories don't endure.
I mean, two of the probably the greatest films ever made were melodramas. One was Gone with the Wind and The Godfather. Those were very melodramatic, easy sell, kind of soap opera-ish books that were very popular. And look what the fine films they turned into.
I'm going to ask two questions sort of related to each other. First, Andy Kumpan has just joined us in the chat. Andy is a filmmaker, Killer Beam film, entertainment.
Andy.
Way to go, Andy.
Great filmmaker.
To Andy, congratulations and our condolences on being a filmmaker.
So what is the biggest, what do you want me to ask, the bad or the good first?
Yes.
What is the biggest joy for you when the film festival hits the mark? What's the mark, and how does it make you feel?
Well, for me, when I finally get to see pieces of all of these films on a big screen with a great sound system, with an audience, and hearing the audience reaction. But I see the films up until then, on a computer screen or, a 70-inch flat screen, whatever. But to see them on a big screen where they belong is truly, that's a great joy.
My joy is when I see a young filmmaker and she comes in and her parents are with her and they are looking around and they don't know about this film thing. And then they meet us and there's tons of people and they start to see the scope of what we do, and there's kids and there's people, there's all sorts of things going on. And when they start to enjoy the reason that they're there, which is sharing stories, gathering, coming to be together. Whether it happens in the lobby or inside, you can walk around and you can feel how much people love to be together.
You guys are really about community organization. You reach out to so many different kids groups and local organizations. What does that do for the festival? And I mean, it's kind of a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why do that? Why be so? Because I know you're not looking for all the big fish all the time. You're looking for those little fish that are out there too, which are the smaller organizations that cater to specific communities, whether they be like LGBTQ or just children, people with special needs. What drives you to do that?
Well, we look at our community as the community as the world. And if all of these human beings, over 80 countries, have sent films to us. We have an audience for any film here, but you have to really encourage them to come because they may not be used to indie films. Maybe they don't leave their neighborhoods. Maybe they've been marginalized for any number of now all of the obvious reasons, etc. Because the second main reason is we're developing all these filmmakers. We want them to be a better somehow for having been with us. Otherwise, why get up in the morning? So we also want to make sure that at your film, at your screening, it's not just your family. There should be people in your screening who have never met you. You need to see how your film is going to behave in front of an audience who's just interested in a theme that you're interested in. They came to see it, and now you have people that aren't supposed to love your work. They're there to sit to experience it, and it's good for you.
And two, we've had kids from our very first year program that we were dealing with, helping make films.
David Woon, Eric Lagunas, Sarah Ali.
Those young people were sixth graders, and one of them just graduated from USC with a degree. So, and we like to encourage people to do that. We've seen people come along, young filmmakers we've seen them grow over the course of the 10 years. We
had a kid submit a film this year. I kept looking at the name. He was in our program when he was in sixth grade. And you know what I'm so proud is that he didn't call up and he didn't say, hey, give me a thing, give me a this, and can I have for free? He waited until he could just walk through the front door. And our fees are not exorbitant.
Oh, they're neither exorbitant or exorbitant.
Yeah. But that's amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
That's amazing.
Ed Shin says, I saw most of the Queens World Film Fests. Miss you, Katha and Don. Kathleen M. Schultz just sent an emoji that looks like this.
Oh. Ed is a photographer who has been with us for a few years. And I when we went online, like every day he would announce, because that's when everybody was being quarantined, every day he would announce like all the different blocks he was going to be seeing. I was like, yes, Ed, that was really amazing.
So I am, Leo, my friend Leo Fernikis has just said 3 chat windows, DJ ADHD. Yes, I am.
Or as we like to say it, running your empire.
I'd like to point out too that one of the guests here was Jim Longstrath. And he was in my very first film.
He was in your chat room.
Gotcha, cool. Marisha Sajkas, love you guys. Maria. Dean Florence, way to go, Katha.
Hey, Dean.
Anita Razwan, film has the power to transform people.
Anita, you are mini-me. You know this, correct?
Lee Montville, yay, Katha and Don, you are amazing. So your people showed up. Your people showed up. They showed up.
They did.
Good to see. Colin says, I asked the question about the book to film because I'm writing a book about the inside of a mind of a crazed man who lives with impersonalization and PTSD, who lives out the lives of unborn children and sees his dead wife guiding through his own eternal hell of his mind. The story is called Imbalanced. Okay, Colin, thank you.
Look, here, Colin, don't make the movie till you've written the book. Write the book. Yeah. Just get up every morning, write in the best possible way you can, make a series of great decisions. Then when it's finished, then you go on to the next thing, which is it going to be film worthy or not? Who cares right now?
Andrew Einhorn is a filmmaker, and I don't know if you know Andrew. You know Andrew, right? Yes. The Andrew Einhorn. He said,
yes, I saw his stunning performance on your show, I believe the first week.
I have tons of different formats in both film and video footage, Super 8, VHS, mini DVD, HD, 4K. Is it fun and nostalgic to mix them all together or too distracting? Or do Preston and Katha recommend finding same size or other?
Well, it all depends on what the piece is all about. If you're mixing them up just for the sake of mixing them up, well, that's just exactly what it is. It's a blender. But if you have a purpose for mixing different film formats, then that's perfectly valid if it has a point. I made a film 8 years ago. We had easily 5 different aspect ratios, different mediums. And I remember I got an email message from Duart That was 12 o'clock at night, saying we stopped what we were doing because you got your aspect ratios are all over the place. And I said that was intended to be that way. And so because
carry on, folks, carry on.
Yeah,
but Andrew, that's really a great question, because so many of the young filmmakers have had some kind of camera in their hands now for 10 years. And so a lot of people do have stuff, and we just had somebody who did Sourpuss, and some of that footage was when he was 14.
Yeah.
VHS. And you know, it made the point. It worked brilliantly there. Use it. Use it to make a point.
It's all about the story. Serve the story.
Colin Peterson says thank you regarding the book comment. Cynthia DeMoss, do you see many distribution deals go down at the film parties and or networking sessions?
It's starting to happen. We had a distributor for the last couple of years. People have contacted us, but this year, and this is kind of a phenomenon across the industry, distributors were actually able to see films because they weren't running all over the place. And Happy Cleaners, we made the introduction, and they just signed a distribution deal about 2 weeks ago. All bets are off. It's a whole new world. Deals are going to be made anywhere that something good that is engaging is being experienced.
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear the answer to this question. What is the craziest out-of-the-box idea y'all ever had? And where did the idea land you?
Well, us or films that we've seen?
Us. The two of us? Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, that film that you were talking about, first of all, it wasn't 8 years ago. It was 14 years ago. I hate to tell you. But we went to Wales with that film. Remember? What an incredible time. And Jessica was with us, and she had just met her now husband, and they would stay up late at night talking. Yeah. And that was a pretty crazy idea to do that film. And
you shot in Wales?
No, we went to a festival there, and oh my God, we had such a great time.
Do you remember where in Wales? I was in Aberystwyth.
Swansea.
So crazy! You're talking about
Between You and I.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a crazy idea.
I think another crazy idea was the film "Be My Oswald," which
that's the one. That's the one.
Tell us in a nutshell what the.
Well, thank you for the New York Times, who said it's what was it? Finding yourself through terrorism. So it's a political piece, and it ultimately deals with how do you kill a myth.
What I like is probably happening right about now. Like when they first looked at us, and people don't know, so they're like, "Oh my God, she's so loud! Like she's so overbearing. She's probably running everything." I think you're now starting to see the brains of the outfit here, the kind of the ideas, and I bring a lot to the table, but I really do think the secret to our success is that he is this incredible talent and I'm the noise.
And you've been the noise for a long time in this duo. You've been married for 32 years now?
30 years.
30 years. You got married on New Year's Eve.
Yep. Yes, we did.
And so when and how many times have you said, screw you, I'm tired of working with you, I'm done working with you? What's it like? My point is this, you're a couple and you've been together for 30 years and you work together. What's that like? What makes that work? That's hard for a lot of people.
Well, it's not easy. Sometimes it's a lot of fun, but there is compliments going on here, back and forth. I mean, she's an excellent producer, and she sets things up so she lets the writer-director do his thing.
He's an incredible artist, and like most incredible artists, he does not like to be managed. And like most incredible artists, there's a lot you do have to manage for them, so that the stuff is just right for them to do what they do. He makes me look good.
All right. It's 10:30. That means the show's over. This is only a half-hour show, unless you guys are willing to stay on a little longer. And
well, okay.
All right.
Light over there.
Jack Fuller said she keeps. I guess that means you keep him in line.
Barely. Barely.
Colin Peterson says, love the positivity in your relationship. Catherine Malay going back to the 14 years, who's counting. Carlos Oresando just joined us. Brandon Sanford just joined us. Terry Shook just joined us. Andrew Einhorn says, please, more. Jack says she keeps putting her arm around him. And Anita says, 30 years strong. Leslie Harmon says, I was in Wales for 36 years. I'm a Queens gal. And Anita Roswant says, quiet storm, Ron Artest. Let's talk about that after we play the game. 5 objects. I've got 5 objects that I chose that are in my house that I've noticed. Why am I still keeping that? Why am I not? Quarantine, I'm climbing the walls. I'm going to show you each object one at a time. Just give me, real quick, a gut reaction or a thought, what it makes you feel or think. A bicycle pump.
It's
painful.
Well, painful. I'd say it's keep it up. Sometimes you just need that. Just need to get yourself more oxygen.
Nice. All right, here's another one. Coffee filters.
Oh,
and sometimes you need that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody drinks more coffee than the two of us.
No, man,
it's insanity.
I got a lot of coffee drinkers on this show.
Oh my God.
Beta tape.
Oh my
God. You sure that's not one of ours? Wait a minute. He's going to go get you
Got a stack of them.
If you only knew. If you only knew. See when people think that I'm controlling him. There's no controlling him.
I got boxes of that.
All right,
stuff.
you got me beat. Here we go. Here's the 4th item. Lego chassis, Lego wheels and chassis.
Oh God, strap a camera to it. You got a dolly. Let's go.
All right, well done.
Yeah.
And the last, number 5.
Oh my God. That's ancient. That's a beauty, actually. That Minolta, right?
Yeah, this is Joey John's camera. I gotta get
you could shoot something with that and it would look great.
Yeah, and if you were shooting a lot of stuff that was happening now, that would be incredible.
And what about developing film cost for this or buying film for this? Any price range you know of?
Super 8, right?
Is it super expensive?
No.
Okay, good. Awesome. All right, great. So let's see what we got going in chat. Coffee chats. Cato.
Anita was telling us about Ron Artest because that got picked up by Showtime and ran. Jamaica Bay, PBS. We've had some stuff happen.
We've had several shorts get picked up. We had one this year was ESPN.
Yep.
I think the most important thing you said, even though it's great that a film gets picked up, and maybe equally important, is the fact that a young human being can sit in that room with family or strangers and see their work on that giant screen and that end point, that satisfaction, that moment there. I think that's huge.
It's amazing to have an idea that needs to be experienced in that kind of way. And so many things have to all be working all along the line, all the way down the line to the minute you hit play for that thing to play. It's a monumental effort to get those things in the theaters.
Anita Roswant says Wonder got picked up by HBO.
Oh, look at that.
Leslie R. Herman says Beta tapes instead of Beta. Brandon Sanford says, I remember you guys. Carlos Oresando is with us. John Trefero has a question. Any thoughts on Quibi?
Well, I think,
why not?
Yeah, why not? I think the thing about that is they still have to deal. It's going to end up in court somewhere. I mean, so until it's an interesting idea.
Why? What do you
think? Off.
Huh? Are we talking about the same thing? What do you mean it's going to end up in court?
Well, I mean, there's supposedly some, if you read the trades, there's a little bit of a disagreement between where the idea came from. The originator, I believe, is in Europe, and Katzenberg's over here in the United States. So, I mean, it's any medium that can tell a short story, whether it's a minute or 2 minutes and serialized. I mean, it's great. It puts people to work. It's another format. You can watch it on your phone. Yeah. All of that is good stuff. It's just, so there's a place for it.
All bets are off. Ideas are the currency. it's a new world, and let's go. Let's see what else you got.
All right. Let's see what I got here. Colin Peterson says it's a challenge. I challenge you both to a coffee drinking contest.
You're done, son.
Samantha Firestein just joined us. Jamie Meadus is drinking iced coffee right now.
Oh,
We got some good stuff going on here. What about Kathy? You're a master improviser, and the pun is you were the first person to ever get their master's degree in improvisational.
I'm amazed that you remember all this crap. I am very appreciative. Yes, let's talk more about me.
Yeah. So, how much of that improvisational skill goes into putting on this festival?
On a daily basis. Improv is about making the best decision you can with your available material, with whatever you got.
Whatever you got.
Volunteers don't show up. You just have to keep making the best decisions that you possibly can, and understand that that's your job. You're supposed to be awake. You're supposed to be alive. You're supposed to be experiencing it.
Yes, and
Look at this. So good.
make the other person look great.
Absolutely. I haven't heard anyone say that in years, and I say it in every class that I teach. Make the other person look great, and if the other person's thinking the same way, you're both going to go everywhere, anywhere.
And you don't have to ever wonder, what am I going to say? What funny thing? All I have to do is make sure that I am hearing what you're saying so I can make you funnier.
Right. And just like a shout out here, because her degree was from the University of Oregon. And let's hear it for the University of Oregon.
Go Ducks.
I'm a Duck also.
From and I actually got a question. Somebody emailed me and said, you both went to the University of Oregon together. Oregon. What was your experience going to the same university like?
Well,
Different
he had a
worlds.
Flintstone car, and I was
And you had an electric car, huh?
oh, a couple of decades later.
Great school. It's in the art department, landscape architecture department, the English department, because it wasn't called filmmaking. It's called motion graphics. That's what it was, because it is motion graphics.
What I appreciated about the University of Oregon is that they let me design my way, and they just made me justify it, and they kept drilling it into me that if you have a master's, that means you're a master at this. You can't just like it. You got to know this, and you got to know it in a way that other people don't. And so how are you going to do that? And they let me do all sorts of crazy things.
Turko Ono has a question. Also, he has a statement. First, the statement. Doing the best you can with what you have, the best you know how. Definition of success.
Okay.
And his question is, how much time do you put aside to make a film? No matter how much time you plan, does it always take longer?
The answer to that, a short word, would be yes. It always takes longer. I mean, filmmakers historically have gone back to look at their work and make changes. I mean, look how many times Ridley Scott has recut Blade Runner. Charlie Chaplin, 10 years after he made a film, he went back and took a silent film and added narration, because he felt that was necessary to tell the story. And so it just depends. Filmmakers go back and revise things all the time. It just depends on, again, if it's a personal thing, how important that story is, because it's a never-ending tale. I mean, you can just keep going.
There comes a time on every film production where you have to say, I will do anything to make this work.
Yeah.
You're so far in, I will do anything. I will sell my soul. I will do what needs to be done to finish this and to get you what you need.
A couple more success stories from Anita that you guys have forgotten. She says, alumni are talented AF. What's that mean? Are as talented AF? Don't sleep on.
As awfully fun people.
Oh, okay.
Our alumni are especially the local alumni from all 5 boroughs. God, they're just crazy, incredibly talented human beings.
Yeah.
So, Luigi says Ragdoll is on Amazon.
That's true.
Oh, yeah,
That's
they
true.
yes.
And also,
Great film.
Rich Kids made it to Showtime. He said.
That's true.
Yes,
That's true.
that's right.
Now, Rich Kids. Oh my God, Rich Kids. We had it in. We took it out. We took it, and I ripped it up.
Yeah.
Put it in the trash can, and then we just didn't. So we taped it together and called her.
Yep.
Then she's in. Then she's out. Throw it away again. It's in. It's out. And I think that what was going on with her is that she realized how much we put into it, and she felt badly that she couldn't be here, and she didn't want to shortchange us. So we said, get all those actors here, because a lot of them lived here.
Isn't that the one that screened at the archives? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I do not think so.
Anyway, it was a terrific film.
But that's a great film.
I got a question. I got another question from Callie Greenberg. Do you feel creatively inspired, motivated during Black Lives Matter movement and this COVID pandemic?
Well, the movement itself is incredibly overdue, and it is inspiring to see how many people have put their foot down and their fist up, that it's time to actually do something. I mean, I can remember, I'm old enough, I was devastated when Martin Luther King was killed, assassinated, and then shortly after Robert Kennedy. I thought that was our last chance. And now I believe that this is a chance.
This is different.
It's totally different.
And when it first started coming down, I was watching the news more, and you were in here on something, and he was devastated. He was just getting darker and darker, and I kept telling him, this is different. This is different. It's a different thing. And there's a beautiful whole being created. And I feel that the organizers are super smart and are taking their time and letting the world kind of come to this. It's going to be okay. Some of you are going to have to change everything. And that's going to hurt. Just sit with that for just a second, because we're going to be over here quietly gathering our strengths. And it's beautiful.
And I know that from knowing you for over 30 years now, you have worked in the community that is the mixed community and the underserved, quote unquote, underserved community. You're at Henry Street Settlement for many, many years, doing nothing but serving young people with free programs, cheap programs, all about art, learning, discovering. So what's funny for me is when I look at you, Katha, I look at you and I think, she doesn't have to change much. The world's catching up to you because you have been this way for decades. You have always been observant. You've always been active in it. You haven't just paid it lip service. You've dedicated your life to it. And I have got to point that out because I love you for that and I appreciate you for that. And that's part of what you're talking about.
I'm extremely overwhelmed and moved by that.
It's all fact. It's all fact. If you all
really incredible. My favorite part of that is walking into a classroom, the two of us together, and having the whole group go, "Oh my God, really? Two old white people? Really? Really?" Always. And then we start to go down. Then they see that I'm sarcastic AF. And then they start to see the way he literally holds a camera. And then they'll see a kid with a boom. And then it's like this secret society, like they're Cato lovers. And it just cracks me up.
We're going to wind up in a few, but we got a couple more questions. Colin Peterson, another question. Roughly how many no's did you hear along your journey in filmmaking?
Oh my God. I can't even count them. The no's.
My heart just started like.
What's your advice to the young guys people who are afraid of these no's? Like, when I teach in the arts too, it's like you're going to get a lot of no's, and some people say, I hear other teachers and other speakers say that like it's a death knell. It's part of the biz. But so
Well, it is. When you're out auditioning, when an actor says I killed it, you probably did. It was great, but you weren't 6'3". So that's the way it goes. And that's just it. You have to be able to take the nose. It just wasn't right for that person or whoever it was at that time.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep going. And eventually it's just, you keep going until you decide, well, wait a minute, maybe my time is not now. You come back, you reboot, you go in a different direction. It's always good to have 3 or 4 things in your drawer.
But here's the deal. Doing is it. So if you said, no, I can't screen it at your place, this is New York. You can screen it 10 other places. You could screen it on a wall. You could, Jimmy, put it to the top of your car, to the top of your bicycle. It's not about whether other people are letting you do it. You need to find the place where your stuff blossoms, and that's a lot.
Well, that's the point of independent cinema, is that you just have to learn how to make it dirt cheap. You'd be surprised what happens. It's the passion.
Catherine Millay Fisher said what Robert said.
Kat, I owe you a thank you note. We got our masks, I believe, on Saturday. They're beautiful. We love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Schenkler's here. Greg Schmidt's here. Jimmy Doherty just arrived. Andrew Einhorn.
Jimmy Doherty? Oh, my Lord.
Wow.
Okay, Jimmy, you can't hide anymore now. I know you are still alive, motherfucker.
Oh, Helene Gaelic has just joined us, too.
Helene.
Maurice Boyack is here. Destiny Gay is here. And the Andrew Einhorn has a question. Music is such a huge part of any film. Often it can be heavy-handed in trying to push emotional buttons and sometimes too cliche. Then, once in a while, an incredibly unexpected gem works incredibly well, like the Steers dance in The Joker. What are your thoughts about music in films?
Well, they are a crutch, but they do sometimes help you make your point.
Cue the violins.
Right. Well, that's right. And films have never been totally silent except at the very beginning. They usually had a score to keep the interest. But there's one thing is to score things on the nose, and then the other thing is to have an underscore, which is an additional emotional impact, but it's much subtler. Just depends on what you're making. I mean, if you're making a studio film, you want it to be as blatant as possible, and then sometimes, on the other hand, if you can find someone who believes in your work, you go the other direction. Again, it all comes down to the story.
And don't underestimate silence.
Silence, oh my God, silence is a filmmaker's dream.
Yeah, let's have some silence right now, shall we? Just kidding. No. All right, so Helene Gaelic says, oh, so great to hear my name pronounced correctly. Cordelia Pearson says, great interview. Glad to learn more about Katha and Don. Anita Roswant says, quack, quack. Elliot Paul just joined us. Alan Peterson, thank you so much for giving to those who don't have much and treating all equal in your classes. That really touched my heart. Cynthia has a question for the Queen. Has your demeanor been compared to performance artist Karen Finley? I see it. I love her.
No, but I've been called every form of bitch that you possibly can. We were in a meeting one time, and the people, it was all men and myself, and they were wrong.
Excuse me.
They knew they were wrong. I knew I was right. They knew I was right, and I wouldn't let it go. And the guy goes, shut up. And he looks at Preston and he goes, is she like this at home? And he said, yes. And that's why we're all here.
Nice. Nice. I got to show one more beautiful photo. I don't think I showed it, but it does sum up your guys, your heart and your soul, everyone.
That was the last party we had.
Yeah.
Boo.
Well, that is who we are. We are local.
All right. Ariel Barbuth just joined us, so I want to just give him props one more time. He's the CEO, founder, recipe maker. He's the man behind Nuchas Empanadas.
Nuchas.
We got it Nuchas at the Queens World Film Festival.
We will be Nuchasing soon.
So let's see. Somebody said Kathy Bates. Okay. Jack Fuller says, such beautiful people in Katha and Preston. Your years together and your years in friendship with Robert show wisdom that is profound. The young get it, but they need each of you to continue the leadership and support to keep moving us to the new compassion for each other in our world.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's nice. You got some smart people.
Right?
watching your
Elliot
show.
in the house. All right, couple final questions. This one is sort of serious, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take it there. We're on a Zoom call. Are you wearing pants?
I am not.
I am not.
Yes, neither am I. This is the first time. Trifecta. Excellent. All right, next question is, are you binge watching anything you want to recommend, or do you have some recommendations for us?
Yes, the development of the movement.
That's a film or a series, or
That is life, man. I am binge watching the shit out of that.
what's happening right now? Got you.
It's just, I can't even, like when they show the pictures from all over the world, enough is enough. Let's be big boys and girls. Let's change our underwear, clean ourselves up because we poo-poo stink. And let's stop being poo-poo stinkers and get our act together.
I love it. You're binging on
Poo-poo
that.
stinkers. Hashtag poo-poo stinkers.
Hashtag poo-poo stinkers. We are getting tons of hearts and thumbs up. Now's your chance in the chat to throw out any final thank yous and hellos and kudos. Destiny Gay says, love the honesty. Charisse Boyack says, LOL, love it. Anita says, go Ducks. Class of,
Oh, that's what the quack quack was.
Yeah.
Catherine Kern says, class of BUHS 1975.
No way, Catherine Kern.
Had Katha's creativity back in her formative years. Hi, Don, looking good. All right, so my last question for you guys. What's your call to action for us? What's a call to action when we leave here that some of us might just go out there and carry with us?
Well, we thought about this, and really what it comes down to is find an organization that you believe in, and call them, go to their website, ask them what you can do, if it's money or some kind of a donation, time, help, if that all these people are shorthanded, and some organizations are doing some incredible things, and they're still overwhelmed. I mean, we could mention
Common Point Queens, Henry Street Settlement. Listen, and the sexy volunteering stuff, anybody can do that. You know, what if you showed up at the library at your kid's school once a week with a vacuum cleaner? What if you just said, you know, this is what I'm just going to take care of, making sure that the 5th grade has pencils every single day. Our philosophy really is it's 2%, rule of 2%.
Yeah.
If every time you touch it, you improve it by just 2%. Between the two of us, that's 4%. That's almost 5.
Yeah, so I mean, that's really what it is. So you have to have some organizations you believe in. And there's an awful lot of them out there. Every environmental, political, rights, you name it. Legal,
Just pick up a piece of that blanket
and move it a little bit.
and just
And
hold
so
it up.
it's not any one in particular, but believe me, we all need some help because we all know the big guys, the old US of A government, they're not doing it for us.
Got it.
We have it's the community that's going to do it.
It's stuff like what you are doing. Take
Yes.
your natural talent, take what you are good at, work at it, stumble, hit the wall, ask your friends, get it together, put on a new bola.
Put your hair up and up. Yeah.
Yeah, cut your hair, do whatever, and just keep getting up and doing it.
You got it. I'm with you. Elizabeth Harder says you guys are very encouraging. Love y'all's laugh and energy. Jack Fuller says call to action, be with Robert at 10 p.m. Callie Greenberg says City Kids Foundation. Amy Alt says I can't wait to attend the festival. And Callie Greenberg says hashtag poo-poo stinkers. So that's the new hashtag.
Listen, every Wednesday night at 9, we purposely did it at 9 so that we would not be infringing on the master.
Now we can start, I can start cross promoting you guys as well, and people can sit in front of their computer for 2 hours.
I don't know if people know what you have done everywhere that you have touched, you have improved it. Every
Yeah.
single thing, every single person, every single thing, you have improved it. It's been amazing to be your friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Andrew Einhorn says, great show, but what is that metal object with legs on the back shelf?
It's a microphone.
Yeah. It's called the blue mic.
So that thing, it's a blue microphone. Or it's a shoulder rig. I'm not sure.
Got it. All right. Ellie Salas says, preach, and that's how we're going to end it. Well, no, we're going to end it with Anita Roswant saying, I believe in Queens World Film Festival, Katha Cato, and Preston Cato. Thank you, guys. It was a beautiful show.
Thank you for having us.
Informative,
Really fun.
full of love. And we'll see you at the Queens World Film Festival.
Or Wednesday nights at 9.
Or Wednesday nights at 9, exactly. All right. Peace. Thanks.
Peace out.
Ciao.